What if every breakthrough in human history, every leap forward, every flash of genius, every evolutionary jump wasn't random? What if it was scheduled? What if the beings that have been watching us for 10,000 years aren't just observers? What if they're the authors? What if Earth isn't our planet, but their petri dish? And what if humanity is approaching the very moment we were designed to reach? Consider Earth from a scientist's perspective. Not our perspective, theirs. A planet in the perfect orbital zone. Not too hot, not too cold. A large moon to stabilize its rotation. A magnetic field to deflect radiation. Jupiter positioned perfectly to catch asteroids that might cause too much damage too soon. It's almost as if someone went shopping for the ideal experimental conditions and found Earth. The odds of all these conditions occurring naturally are astronomical. But what if it wasn't luck? What if Earth was chosen, or worse, engineered, specifically for an experiment that would take billions of years to complete? In 1973, molecular biologist Francis Crick, co-discoverer of DNA's structure, proposed something shocking. He called it directed panspermia. The idea that life on Earth didn't arise naturally, but was deliberately seeded by an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. Crick wasn't a conspiracy theorist. He was one of the most respected scientists of the 20th century, and he believed we might be an alien science project. In 2013, two scientists from Kazakhstan made a discovery that should have changed everything. Vladimir Sherbak and Maxim Makukov found what they called biological SETI, a mathematical message encoded in our genetic code. The probability of this pattern occurring naturally? 1 in 10 trillion. As Makukov stated, sooner or later we have to accept the fact that all life on Earth carries the genetic code of our extraterrestrial cousins. But it goes deeper. Our DNA contains vast stretches of junk code, sequences that serve no apparent purpose. 98% of our genome, seemingly useless, unless it's not junk at all. What if it's dormant programming, waiting for activation? What if our creators built in upgrades that unlock at specific evolutionary milestones? Consider human evolution's greatest mystery, the Great Leap Forward. 50,000 years ago, anatomically modern humans suddenly developed art, language, complex tools, and symbolic thought. No gradual transition, no missing links, as if someone flipped a switch in our genetic code. Anthropologists call it inexplicable. But what if it's perfectly explicable? If you accept that someone was monitoring our progress and decided we were ready for an upgrade. But why? Why would an advanced civilization seed life on Earth and watch it develop for billions of years? The answer might be more disturbing than the question. What if we're not just an experiment? We're a product in development. What if human consciousness, our ability to experience, to suffer, to create, generates something valuable to them? Something that can only be harvested once we reach a certain level of complexity? What if they face some existential threat, and they're seeding millions of worlds with life, hoping one species will evolve the solution? We might be one of countless experiments running in parallel across the galaxy. What if Earth is their equivalent of reality TV? 8 billion characters in an unscripted drama, watched by beings whose perception of time makes our entire history feel like a single episode? Here's where it gets truly unsettling. What if the watchers didn't just seed Earth with life? What if they created Earth itself? Not physically, but as a simulation. A cosmic computer program where the laws of physics are just code, and we're subroutines that gain self-awareness. This isn't fringe science anymore. The simulation hypothesis has been taken seriously by prominent thinkers. It attempts to explain why physics has constants perfectly tuned for life, why we can't travel faster than light, and why quantum mechanics behaves so strangely. If we're in a simulation run by our creators, it explains everything. The watchers aren't just observing us, they're running us like software. Every prayer, every scientific discovery, every work of art is data collection. But data for what? What are they trying to learn? And what happens when the experiment ends? Something has changed in the last century. Human advancement isn't linear anymore. It's exponential. It took us 200,000 years to invent writing, but only decades to move from early computers to artificial intelligence. We're approaching multiple thresholds simultaneously. The moment we create minds that can improve themselves, we become unpredictable. The moment we fully unlock genetic engineering, we begin editing our own code. The moment we master quantum computing, we may begin to understand the underlying structure of reality itself. Each breakthrough brings us closer to a line we don't even know exists. And our creators, whether they're observers, engineers, or something else entirely, must decide what to do next. Do they let the experiment continue? Do they intervene? Or do they end it? But there's another possibility. What if we're not approaching termination, but transition? What if the experiment isn't about control, but about cultivation? What if we're nearing the point where we move from subjects to participants? Maybe the observation period is standard. Watch a species develop, guide them subtly, wait until they're ready. Then reveal the truth. Not as gods to primitives, but as something closer to mentors. Of course, this assumes we pass whatever test we're currently facing. Because if Earth is a laboratory, it's worth remembering something simple. Most experiments fail. The universe might be filled with worlds where life began, but never reached this point. Worlds where the experiment was stopped, reset, or abandoned. So the real question isn't whether we were created. It's this. If we were designed, what were we designed to become? And more importantly, are we ready to become it? Because maybe consciousness itself is the experiment. Maybe curiosity is the feature. Maybe questioning reality is the purpose. And maybe asking the question is the first sign that we're finally ready for the answer.